Conquer Athlete community, what is going on? We're back here on the Conquer Athlete YouTube channel. Coach Tommy Palms, myself, Jason Lyden. We're here to give you guys some more information and insight around the world of competitive fitness, coaching, athlete development, and anything else we feel about talking about that day. You know what I'm saying, Tommy?
I feel you, bro.
Tommy, what's new in your world right now? You know what I feel like I
Nothing,
need,
man.
though? I feel like I need a new intro because we do these YouTube talks every day, every week, right? We do the podcast every week. And my intro is the same on both, where I say, hey, Conquer Athlete, this is Tommy Palms, Jay Sliden. And I'm always like, Tommy, what's going on? And
Yeah,
I'm asking you that question. I'm saying it. I'm like, fuck, man, I say this
you
every
got to come with
week.
the question of the day.
I need something new.
Terrell
I,
Suggs threatened to kill someone at a Starbucks today. Terrell Suggs is was a nasty linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens.
you
One of the
know,
one of the better
Tom,
of all time.
Tommy, I too threatened to kill somebody at a Starbucks yesterday morning. I don't think I told you that story.
No, you did. That's amazing.
Okay, so you tell the Terrell Suggs one, and then I'll tell my story.
All right, well, Terrell Suggs is a little vulgar, but apparently he was in Starbucks and somebody started cursing at him, and then he, in quotes, said that let's go fight. I will kill your white cracker ass.
Yes,
And
a
then
hundred fucking percent.
and then apparently he pulled a gun,
Oh,
which is even
okay. Well,
wilder.
that's kind of wild pulling a gun. But here's the thing: if you're gonna talk shit and swear, you better be ready to back it up. Like, and I think I've been saying this for so long, Tommy, is that that's the problem. Is nowadays not enough people get beat up because it's like people feel like they can pop off and run their mouths and like there's gonna be no repercussions. Like if I was growing up, if I was gonna be an idiot and disrespectful to somebody, there was gonna be a fight. And if I got beat up, I would learn my lesson. If I won the fight, then might think I could still keep being tough until I get beat up by somebody, right? It's like
Yep.
that's the way it went. And I am in complete agreement with T Sizzle until the gun part.
Yeah. Yeah. The gun part's too much. He's stupid. Stupid. So he
Yeah.
got arrested.
Why would you
Got
pull
arrested.
a gun?
Dude, those were the guys that were playing football 20 years ago, man. That's why the sport was so great. So great.
So here's my story.
Yeah, let's hear this.
It's not far off from T Sizzle. So I didn't have coffee the other day, and I dropped my daughter off at daycare. I pull into Starbucks, and I walk in. I got my flat white. Sun's out, right? Birds chirping. It's northeast. It's 70 degrees. I'm in a great fucking mood. I'm like, this is awesome. It's gonna be such a good day. I'm walking out, and I hear people swearing like someone's fighting, right? And I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't see anybody fighting. There's a cop right there next to me. I'm like, no, I must be some dude listening to loud rap music and like just being an idiot and swearing out of his car with the rap music, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm like, whatever. So I hear it again, like, bitch. And I look around and I see this white guy driving in a Ford Mustang electric car. And I guess what he was doing was he was driving and he was swearing out of his window at people who were like standing around. So I see him pull into Starbucks and I'm looking at him and I'm just looking right at him. And he looks at me, he goes, what the fuck you looking at, pussy? And he like yells it out of his
Oh my
car.
God.
And I'm like, I look around and I start laughing at first. Like I'm laughing. Because in my head, I'm like, you're a skinny white dude in a Starbucks drive-through driving an electric car, talking shit, being tough. I'm like, at first I was like, is this a comedy sketch right now? I'm like,
Yeah, you got to be
so
careful.
I'm like looking around and I'm like, this guy's out of his mind. So he keeps running his mouth off at me. So I proceed to say, listen, you little bitch, excuse my language if anybody's listening to this one, because I get after it. And I'm like, I go, you're in a fucking electric car in a Starbucks drive-thru. I'm sitting right here. I was like, get out of your car and I'll fucking kill you. And he stays in his car, keeps talking trash and keeps talking trash. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. And for those of you guys that don't know, I carry a bat in my car. So in case things get crazy. So I take the bat out of my car, and I'm standing at the front of my truck, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wait for this motherfucker to pull out of the drive-through. I'm gonna stop him, and then I'm gonna smash his car, and I'm gonna pull him out, and whatever. That is what it is. Like I'm like he's being disruptive in my mind, right? In my mind, Tommy, I'm like he's being disruptive to the human race. He's swearing at people, thinking he's tough. I'm like he needs to stop, and I should be the one to stop him. So I'm standing with my bat, and I'm like, I'm just waiting. Time's going by. It's like 1 minute, 2 minutes. I'm like, all right, he'll be around soon. And then I hear like, I guess the angel on my shoulder, and it's like, you're gonna get arrested. These like,
Yep.
because like, okay, I box and I do jujitsu, and they're like, no matter what happens, I'm going to get arrested because I know what I'm doing, right? I'm like, so that's going through my head. And then B, I'm like, it's a white dude in a Starbucks at an electric car. I'm like, he's got to be high on drugs or with a gun in his car, right? If he's like, if this dude's getting this crazy at 9 a.m. in the morning, I'm like, something's
Yeah.
not right with this dude, right? So that's that one. But the one that stopped me the most was I go, my wife is going to fucking
Yeah.
kill me if something
Yeah.
happens. Like if I beat this kid up, she is going to kick me out of the house for a little bit. So so Tommy, I proceeded to put the bat back in my car. I got in my truck, I took a big deep breath, and I pulled away.
That's a great decision.
Right now,
Great decision.
I may or may have not have pulled into that same Starbucks this morning and stood there for 10 minutes waiting to see if he'd show back up.
Hoping.
Hoping, but he didn't. I
Yeah.
go, I pulled in I go, Jay, don't do that. I'm like, I'm driving today. I'm like, why? I'm like, why would you even do that? And I was like, just do it. So I pulled in, I parked at the Starbucks, same spot as yesterday. It was 8:33. I was like, I'll give it to 8:45 to see if he shows up again. And he didn't.
You're
And I
nuts.
left. Like,
Oh man.
but
You're nuts.
T Sizzle and myself with Starbucks, we don't get along with people there, man.
I guess that's the new hotspot.
But right,
Fucking
it's like
Starbucks.
I come out and I'm like, this dude, I'm like, is this a joke? Like, you're a
Yeah,
skinny
people
white
are
kid in an electric car to drive to a Starbucks, like acting like you're I
in
don't know, in a
Milford.
Rick Ross movie, like video, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with people, man. They're
It's like
just
new yeah,
yeah,
it's like New Jack City in Milford, Connecticut.
unreal, man. Well, it was a good decision. I think a very, very good decision.
Thank you. Yeah, I
I
actually called
understand where you're coming from, though.
yeah, like I called Joss right after and I was like, babe, you'll be proud of me. And then I told her what I did. And I was like,
Attaboy.
because I was like, when it happened, right? Like, man, I could just like walk up to his car and just pull him out and
Yeah.
smash his face and pull away. And like, anyways, if you're listening to this and you feel like you've been in a situation like that before, I would actually like to hear about it. Only if you've ever gotten a fight at Starbucks. I want to hear about that. I don't care about anywhere else. I don't care if it's Denny's or Dutch's or Dunkin' Donuts. Starbucks. Did
Starbucks
you
only.
almost get in a fight at Starbucks? We should get T Suggs on this YouTube talk, Tommy.
That'd be it, baby. That's what I need.
All right. All right, guys, we're going to move on. We're going to get into what we really came here to talk about. And Tommy has some great insight for everyone listening around programming. So, one of the biggest things when working with people virtually and one-on-one clients is finding ways to make sure they're able to hit the desired intensity, be able to get uncomfortable and push themselves in a manner that is sometimes difficult for a lot of people to do when they are training by themselves. They don't have a partner and they don't feel like that urgency to complete something. So Tommy's been putting a little thought into some programming aspects that he's going to talk to you guys about on today's show. So Tommy, floor is yours.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a big important piece that you mentioned there was virtual, right? And coaching virtual is very different than coaching in person. Coaching in person, you're able to, push your athletes where you want them to, ensure they're doing the right thing at the exact time. Where online, you kind of just get feedback afterwards, and then you go, oh, well, this is probably how you could have done this to do this, and yada yada. So now that we're, really prepping for the season, and I do need intensity to be dialed in and all that good stuff, I really want to make sure that my athletes are progressing as much as possible and kind of doing what I need them to do. So something I've been playing with is just having my athletes perform work within a desired window of time. So for an example, every minute on the minute, do 10 deadlifts at 225 plus 10 bar facing burpees for 10 minutes, right? So the reason I'm doing this is, once again, is that the time is really now being utilized to ensure that they're getting the work done at an intensity that I want it to be done at, right? So that same workout could be done as, 10 rounds for time, 10 and 10, but they might transition really slow or move slower on the burpees or something of that nature. Where when you do it every minute on the minute, you have to get a certain amount of work done in a certain amount of time, which ensures in a certain amount of intensity. And that's something that I've seen as extremely valuable in the past 2 months, since kind of applying it more and more to my clients. The benefits are great. There are some downsides to it. And some of those downsides have just been that it's really hard to nail time prescriptions with all your athletes, right? There's some athletes who you might know extremely well and know how much work they can get done in a certain period of time successfully for multiple and multiple rounds, where others you may be unsure if this is possible for them or if it's even too easy for them. And so those are kind of the struggles that I've had over the past couple months. But just like anything, the more you do it, the more you start to understand.
So with that, Tommy, how do you factor, I guess not factor in, but when you're thinking about time domains, intensity efforts around this, how do you know what to do?
Yeah. So I'm thinking about the level of my athlete and the movements that I'm utilizing and what the sport functional volume is. Let's just call it this, the sport functionality volume, whatever that means. But let's just say the bar muscle up at a pretty elite level could be somewhere between 45 to 60 bar muscle ups. It could
Hmm.
just be 30, right?
Hmm.
And then I'm also thinking about, okay, am I doing this as a couplet or a triplet? And I'm
Hmm.
thinking about the functional volume of those movements as well. But then I'm saying,
Okay.
okay, what would the functional volume of this workout probably be if I made this pairing? Like, how many reps would I have to do of each? And then I think to myself, okay, well, what would be a good time for this workout? And so what I then do is go, okay, if I want them to finish this workout in 10 minutes and they need to finish this many reps, I'm just going to make it so that they have to do that many reps in 10 minutes and whatever fashion I want them to do, whether that's every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes. As the time domain gets bigger, the reps inside the window get larger. So let's just say it was 100 deadlifts and 100 bar facing burpees, and I want it done in 10 minutes. If it's every minute on the minute, it's 10 and 10. If it's every 5 minutes, it's somehow doing 50 and 50 in 5 minutes. So maybe it's every 5 minutes, do 3 rounds of 21, 15, 9 bar facing burpee deadlift times two, right? That's
Hmm.
90, but you get the point. And so that's how I kind of come up with it. And then I also look at it as like, okay, is my athlete does my athlete need to do bigger sets, or are they someone who needs to focus more on transitional work and being able to go really fast and back and forth? Some athletes have no problem holding big sets and taking like moderate rests and are really good at that, where others aren't so good. And then there's some athletes who can transition extremely well back and forth all the whole time, but the minute the reps get really high, they kind of break down. So that's how I choose which ones I'm kind of trying to work with, depending upon my athletes.
Got it. And when you're looking at the entire week overall or training block, do you think about um how many sessions you want them hitting things that, let's just say, are like 1 to 3 minutes, versus how many things you want that are taking anywhere from like 6 to 12 minutes? Like, do you look at that, or are you looking at more so overall functional volume around the movements you're trying to uh develop for them?
Yeah, actually, more now, I am looking more at the functionality of the volume that's prescribed. Like I think that that is really the most important factor at the moment, because it's like you need to be able to do this many reps, whether that's 3 minutes or 6 minutes. Like if you can only do it in 6 minutes, that's fine, but we need to actually accomplish this volume. Um, really more so now than ever, like the differential between the off season and in season for me is just the amount of time I'm giving them to recover between rounds. So like, I'm not trying to give them a lot of rest right now because when they do the workouts, they're not going to be able to be able to complete the functional volume with rest. So they're gonna have to be able to go fast. So if it's an EMOM, like it's not like it's 40 on, 20 off right now. Like it's probably closer to like 50 on, 10 off, and that 10
Mhm.
seconds is so fast they don't even recognize it. Um, Similarly, if I'm doing like every 10 minutes, like it's probably not 5 on, 5 off right now. It's probably more like 7.5, 8 minutes on, 2 minutes off, and just hoping you can hold on, and probably do. Um, and that's just some stuff that that's how I've been more so thinking about it at the moment.
Got it. And with the rest time involved, how do you know where to start with rest time and then where you want to progress it to?
Yeah, so similarly, kind of like I said, off season versus in season, I'm just giving them enough rest to ensure that they can complete it, right?
Got
So
it.
like if I was to do a progression, it would probably start with more rest, completing the volume, and then slowly decreasing the amount of time they have between intervals to complete the same amount of volume.
I love it. Yeah, because your athletes have been absolutely crushing it and having extreme success with the workouts. How many people do you have being prepped right now for the quarterfinals?
Well, all of my athletes have made quarterfinals. I don't have anyone that didn't make it. I have like two or three who aren't doing it by choice, just because they don't find it important. They're working on some other competitions this year.
Mhm.
Um, and then ones that I really have faith in making a real shot at semifinals, I would say around 6 athletes this year, which I'm really excited for outside the team, of course.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for sharing this. For anybody listening, if you guys have specific questions on this, hit up Tommy@conquerathlete.com. Are you Tommy or Tom?
Tom,
Tom at Conquerathlete. Tom.
I know, I know.
Tom at Tom@conquerathlete.com. Drop us some questions. If you guys
Yeah.
want to hear Tommy dive a little deeper into this, feel free to hit us up on questions at help at Conquer Athlete. We can talk about it on the next YouTube talk. But we hope you guys got some good information about this on new things and ways to think about programming to prepare your athletes to get them ready for the sport of CrossFit. Tommy, would you utilize this for athletes in other sports?
Oh, um, in other sports, I mean, yeah, I think it could be utilized well. It just depends on the type of sport.
Mhm.
Like a football player it's very easy to kind of understand how long a play is going to last and how much rest they're going to have. And like, if you wanted to potentially prepare a lineman to be able to run and recover during like a 2 minute drill in the second half or a fourth quarter, like you could do that, I think. But I can't speak too much on that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for this awesome insight. We hope you guys got some information out of it. Check out our next Conquer YouTube talk, which will drop next week. Leave us any questions, shares, likes, all that good stuff. We'll keep bringing you guys as much information as we can. We hope you guys enjoy the show.